We've been expecting you.
If you want to play like a dragon's own version of Animal Crossing in Infinite Wealth, you've actually got a long road to travel. But for those who love life sim games, the wait will be worth it, as it truly is a game within a game. Here's everything you need to know to get 5 stars on Dondoko Island in Infinite Wealth. To get to Dondoko Island, you'll need to reach Chapter 6, Puppet on a String, which is approximately 15 to 16 or so hours into the game. Near the beginning of the chapter, you'll watch a bunch of cutscenes involving Ichiban recording a video, basically chronicling his story so far. Once the shoot is wrapped, he'll beat up a bunch of thugs on the beach, trying to make off with an endangered turtle, and then you'll meet the one and only Gachapin, who freaks out Ichiban and causes him to fall down, hitting his head and knocking him unconscious, at which point the green monster makes the sensible choice of dragging you to a mostly deserted trash island. Now that you're on Dondoko Island, what do you actually do here? Well, the ultimate goal is to turn this trash island into a luxury 5-star resort. You obviously start with a 0-star rating, and to gain a star, you'll need to hit certain milestones involving your island's satisfaction and popularity, along with clearing out various locations around the island. Satisfaction can be improved by placing structures and decorations that you create at the DIY workbench or purchase at the store.
Say I outdid myself.
Popularity can be increased also by placing certain structures and decorations, but primarily by completing entries in your Dokopedia, which you do by catching insects, fish, and picking up collectibles. There's a couple of other things that you can do as well much later on, but for now, let's focus on those activities. To clear out a location, you must pay a substantial amount of Dokobucks, and also have your DIY building level at a certain threshold. You can reduce the cost of the clearing by removing the trash that sprouts out within it every day. The more you clear trash, the better the letter grade ranking of that location and the lower the actual clearing cost. Once you do actually clear out a location, trash will no longer spawn there, and there will instead be resources that you can pick up once a day at the recycling area next to the shop to make up for the fact that you won't be able to collect resources from that spot anymore. Dokobucks can be obtained in a number of ways. You could sell anything you create, catch, or pick up off the ground to Madayoshi. You can complete your Dondoko dailies, which are a set of 5 easy objectives that refresh every day, and you can complete objectives in your suggestion box, which are long-term goals that you should be able to fulfill just by doing normal activities around the island. You'll improve your DIY building level by simply building decorations and structures from the DIY bench next to Ichiban's house. The more costly buildings and decorations will give you far more substantial gains to your building level, so before you commit to spending your hard-earned resources, make sure that you check and see how much you stand to gain in your building level before you confirm. A large portion of your time on Dondoko Island will be spent collecting a variety of different resources. Wood can be collected from trees, stone from rocks, plastic, cloth, and metal can be found from breaking down trash heaps, and PC parts and glass can be found from the rare trash heaps that look like a pile of electronics. You'll definitely want to make it a priority every day to find and clear up every trash pile that you can, not only because it will reduce the cost of clearing out an area in certain spots, but also simply because that's how you'll get the bulk of the resources that you need to craft things at the bench. Trash heaps will only take 1 swing to break, while rocks and trees will take 3. If you want to be efficient with your gathering, you can use a charged attack which moves Ichiban forward and swings his bat around him, destroying trees and rocks in just one go. Try to make a mental note to charge up your attack while you're running towards either a pair or a trio of rocks and or trees, and aim for the middle target to take them all out at once. You and your friends are not the only inhabitants of Dondoko Island. There's also a faction of jerks called the Washbucklers that will regularly pop up and will need to be knocked down. Combat on Dondoko Island is in real time, unlike the main game, but it's also super basic. Just swing your bat until all the enemies fall down. You can evade with R2, but note that you can't cancel out of an attack with a roll, so be careful about overcommitting to attacks. In order to survive against tougher Washbucklers, you'll need to increase your maximum number of hearts. To do that, you'll need to start decorating your home. You'll be able to tell whether an object can be placed in your home by checking to see if the house icon is filled in the DIY menu, next to its satisfaction rating. If you place an object outside of your home, the number will be added to your island's satisfaction score. If you place it inside your home, it will instead raise your livability rating. The higher your livability rank, the more hearts you will have. Gameplay on Dondoko Island is divided into days, with every day covering a full day-night cycle of in-game time. At the start of each day, virtually everything will respawn. trash heaps, trees, rocks, fish, bugs, collectibles on the ground, etc. There will also be a new selection of wares at the shop, you'll get 5 new dailies to complete, enemies will respawn, and so on. You should always try to get as much done in a day as possible. Don't just do your dailies and then call it a day. At the same time though, you also don't want to stay out too late after dark, because if you push it too far, you won't be able to recover all of your hearts the next day. When you get to the point where you start to invite guests on your island, you'll have 3 in-game days with them to give them the best experience that you possibly can. After you get your first star rating, one of the first things that you'll want to do is make lodging for guests to come to your island. The rank of your lodging will affect certain requests that guests will have later, but don't worry about that for now. A tent or even a shack will suffice. The next day after you place your lodging, you'll be able to invite up to 3 guests. Guests will stay on your island for 3 days, and in that span, you'll need to try and increase their satisfaction in order to get as much money as you can once they check out. To increase their satisfaction, you can do the following: satisfy the conditions on their request lists, gift them an item that they want. Each guest has different tastes, and there's no diminishing returns once you find an item that they like. So, once you find something that gives 100 satisfaction, or a souvenir that gives 300, keep on giving it to them. You can also wave to them by pressing square when you walk by once per day, and place structures and decorations on walkways that increase satisfaction. One new thing that you'll have to consider is the theme of your island. Certain structures will push your island towards one of 4 themes: rustic, sleazy, pop, and elegant. Guests have different preferences, so you'll either want to try to invite guests that are especially in tune with the theme of your island, or develop the island to better fit the tastes of your guests. At first, you'll only be able to make 1 lodging, but as your island's star ranking grows, you'll be able to add more and thus invite more guests. Make sure to remember to build new lodging whenever you can, as more lodging equals more guests, and more guests equals much more money spent on your island. At some point when you've got your first group of guests visiting, your morning meeting will be interrupted by the arrival of Subaru, a new NPC who will be the person you'll go to about souvenirs. Souvenirs are special gifts that you can develop that work extremely well as gifts to increase the satisfaction of your guests, and the edible ones can alternatively be eaten to restore some of Kasuga's life. You should always make it a priority to give 1 souvenir to each guest each day while they stay on the island. You'll first need to develop souvenirs by spending Dokubucks on the recipe. Each recipe also has a DIY building level requirement as well. When you've developed a souvenir, you can then produce it by trading in the materials needed to make that souvenir. These materials are typically low-value food, shells, or fossils, so make mental notes of what materials are needed to make souvenirs and ensure that you don't just sell them. Later on, you'll also come to Subaru to make commercials for an instant boost in popularity for 100,000 Dondoko bucks, along with a selection of new people to invite. And you'll also come to him for campfire parties, which can only be used once per slate of guests, but will give a large boost to guest satisfaction. Once you get a 2-star ranking, that's when things truly open up. You'll unlock Dondoko Farm, which is a separate area accessible from the raft at Dondoko Beach, where you'll be able to put your Sujimon to work at a variety of different stations for a set amount of real-world time. There's a workshop, which will net you Dokubucks, a crop patch, where you can harvest vegetables, a recycling center, which is used to gain resources, and a training spot, where you can let your Sujimon train at so they gain levels without actually needing to battle, much like a Pokemon daycare. You'll assign 3 Sujimon to a facility, and you'll also want to take care to match the type of Sujimon with the type of course that you select. Every facility has a variety of different courses that run for different amounts of time and are associated with a particular Sujimon type. The longer the time, the greater the yield, with a chance of even greater yield if you match the Sujimon's type. Apart from those facilities, Dondoko Farm is also just a great place to go for rare resources, bugs, and fish. The jump up to the next star is fairly substantial, so you'll need to make sure that you make smart use of Dondoko Farm in order to garner the resources needed to get that 3-star rank.
Ooh, big one.
In particular, the area above the beach is littered with rare ore and occasionally very rare bugs called Tsuchinokos that can sell for 100,000 Dokubucks right off the bat. Later on, wild beasts will attack Dondoko Farm, and the only way to clear them will be with a Sujimon battle. So make sure that your Sujimon are trained up and you're ready to defend, otherwise you won't be able to make use of the facilities. After getting your 2nd star, you'll need to start unlocking the rest of the island before you can clear out the required areas. For 3 stars, you'll need to first make a bridge to both the lake by Gachapin Beach and the field by Dondoko Beach. For 4 stars, you'll have to clear out the cave and the forest, but in order to get there, you'll first need to make 2 bridges that flank the 2 sides of Dondoko Plaza. Getting 5 stars is actually much easier, as you don't have to clear out any more locations, but rather just have to win a final battle against the Washbucklers. Speaking of those Washbucklers, at every star rank you should make sure that you're also increasing your max health by filling Ichiban's house with decorations, so that you're able to withstand the tougher battles. Finally, I'm just going to rattle off a bunch of general tips to keep in mind as you're going through your daily routine. You can make roads for free by going into edit mode and pressing square. You'll only get the extra benefits of a building if its entrance is touching a road. So when space starts getting tight, make some roads to better make use of the space in the middle of an area. Don't neglect the Washbucklers. If you go to sleep while they're still around, they will attack your lodging and potentially force your guests to go home. Make sure to use the sorting tools while you're crafting buildings. It's especially helpful to know what's craftable with your current resources, along with what buildings will provide the biggest bonuses to satisfaction. Items like pearls, rare ores, certain fish are used in crafting recipes, so don't sell those off. Instead, put them into your storage, since the crafting bench will pull items from your storage as well as your active inventory. To our knowledge, all of Dondoko Island can be completed as soon as you reach it, but there are some guests and crafting recipes that can be found in the main game as well. You can come and go via the dolphin on Aloha Beach if you're in Hawaii, and the one on Dondoko Beach if you're on Dondoko Island. And finally, why would you want to do all of this in the first place? Well, for one, once you get 5 stars, Dondoko Island is probably the best way to make money in Infinite Wealth. Once you've got 5 lodgings set up, that's potentially 15 guests every tour, you stand to make a lot of Doko Bucks. And those Doko Bucks can be converted into real money when you leave the island. Apart from that, you'll get a cool super attack for Ichiban called Essence of Dondoko Beam, and just the satisfaction of seeing your dinky trash island become a thriving resort that you can be proud of. Thanks for watching, and for more Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, check out these videos, and as always, keep it here on IGN.
The ultimate getaway!